If you're over 60 and your blood pressure monitor sometimes scares you, listen carefully because there is one mistake that millions of older adults make right before checking their blood pressure. And that single mistake can raise the reading by 10, 15, sometimes even 20 points or more. The most dangerous part isn't the mistake itself. The most dangerous part is believing the number is completely accurate. Many people see that higher reading and immediately assume their blood pressure is getting worse. They start worrying. They start stressing. Some even wonder if their medication has stopped working. But what if the problem isn't your blood pressure at all? What if the number you're seeing is being distorted by something you did just minutes earlier? Stay with me, because today's story might completely change the way you check your blood pressure forever. Let's talk about someone we'll call Margaret Davis. Margaret is 71 years old, a retired homemaker. She enjoys taking care of the small garden behind her house. She loves making homemade pickles, and she takes her health seriously. Every morning, before breakfast, before starting her day, she checks her blood pressure. It's become part of her routine, something she rarely skips. One morning, she looked at the monitor and felt concerned. The reading seemed higher than she expected. The next morning, it was different again. A few days later, another unexpected number appeared. The readings weren't exactly the same, but they all seemed higher than what Margaret hoped to see. What confused her most was how normal she felt. She didn't have headaches. She wasn't short of breath. She didn't have chest pain. Nothing felt different. Nothing felt worse. And yet, every time she looked at the monitor, her anxiety grew a little more. She began wondering whether her blood pressure was slowly getting out of control. Was something changing inside her body? Was age finally catching up with her? The questions kept coming, but the answers were nowhere to be found. Margaret became convinced that she must be doing something wrong, so she started making changes. She began waking up earlier, trying to get better sleep, drinking more water throughout the day, cutting back on her morning coffee. She even stopped watching certain news programs because she thought stress might be affecting her blood pressure. At first, she felt optimistic. Surely something would improve. Surely the numbers would come down, but they didn't. Some days, the readings looked exactly the same. Other days, they seemed even higher. The harder Margaret tried, the more confused she became. It was frustrating. Imagine cleaning your eyeglasses over and over again, only to realize everything still looks blurry. Eventually, you discover the problem isn't the glasses. The problem is your eyesight. Margaret was facing something similar. She was focused on everything she thought might be causing the problem, except the thing that actually was. And because of that, the real answer remained hidden. Then came a routine doctor's appointment. Margaret expected another conversation about blood pressure, another discussion about lifestyle, maybe another medication adjustment. Instead, her doctor asked a very simple question, a question she wasn't expecting. What do you usually do right before checking your blood pressure? Margaret paused. She had never really thought about it before. Then she answered, well, I usually clean up the kitchen first. Sometimes I walk upstairs. I often take a few sips of coffee, and then I check my blood pressure. The doctor smiled, not because something was wrong, but because he had just heard exactly what he needed to hear. You see, sometimes the problem isn't the blood pressure itself. Sometimes the problem is how the blood pressure is being measured. And at that moment, Margaret realized there might be something important she had completely overlooked. The mystery wasn't solved yet, but for the first time, she was finally looking in the right direction. Now here's where things become interesting. Margaret's doctor explained that the blood pressure monitor wasn't necessarily wrong. The problem was timing. You see, blood pressure is not a fixed number. It changes throughout the day. It changes when you move. It changes when you climb stairs. It changes when you're stressed, excited, upset, or even when you're rushing to get something done. After physical activity, your heart works harder, your circulation speeds up, and your body hasn't yet returned to a true resting state. The same thing can happen after caffeine. For some people, especially older adults, even a few sips of coffee can temporarily affect blood pressure. And here's something many people don't realize. Talking can matter too. If you're having a conversation, checking messages, watching upsetting news, or thinking about something stressful, your body may react. Not because anything is wrong, but because your nervous system is active, and when that happens, the number on the monitor may not reflect your resting blood pressure. It reflects what your body is experiencing in that moment. Think about it this way. Imagine stepping onto a scale immediately after carrying heavy grocery bags inside the house. You're breathing harder. Your muscles are working. Your body is active. Would that moment represent how your body feels all day long? Probably not. You would give yourself time to settle down first. Blood pressure works the same way. Your body needs time to return to its baseline. And if you measure too soon, the reading may tell a story that isn't completely true. Quick question. Have you ever checked your blood pressure right after drinking coffee, walking around the house, or climbing a flight of stairs? If you have, comment the word check below. I'm curious to see how many people may have been making this mistake without even realizing it. Now here's something even more important. Why does this matter so much? After age 60? Because the body changes. When we're younger, our cardiovascular system often adapts more quickly. We recover faster. Our blood vessels are generally more flexible, and our bodies return to baseline more easily. But over time, things gradually change. Blood vessels become less elastic. The cardiovascular system becomes more sensitive, and the body may take longer to settle after activity or stimulation. That's why two people can do exactly the same thing and get completely different blood pressure readings. Imagine a 30-year-old and a 71-year-old. Both drink the same cup of coffee. Both walk up the same staircase. Both sit down immediately afterward and check their blood pressure. The younger person may see very little change. The older person may see a much larger increase. Same coffee, same staircase, different body, different response. And that's why understanding the proper way to measure blood pressure becomes even more important as we age. So what should you do instead? Here's a simple checklist. Before checking your blood pressure, sit quietly for at least 5 minutes. No talking, no television, no scrolling on your phone. Just sit, relax, and allow your body to settle. Avoid coffee or other caffeinated drinks. Shortly before measuring, sit in a chair with back support. Keep both feet flat on the floor. Do not cross your legs. Rest your arm comfortably at heart level. And if possible, use the restroom beforehand. A full bladder can sometimes affect blood pressure too. These may seem like small details, but small details can create surprisingly large differences. And when you follow the same routine every time, your readings become much more reliable, much more consistent, and much more useful. Over the next week, Margaret decided to try something different. She didn't buy a new monitor. She didn't change medications. She didn't make any dramatic changes. Instead, she focused on measuring correctly. Every morning, she sat quietly first. She waited. She relaxed. And then she checked her blood pressure. The results surprised her, not because every number was perfect, but because the readings became far more consistent, far less confusing, and for the first time in months, she stopped feeling anxious every time she reached for the monitor. Because she finally understood something important. A blood pressure reading is only useful if it's measured correctly. And that's the biggest lesson from today's video. Don't let a single number frighten you until you're confident you've measured it the right way. Sometimes the problem isn't your blood pressure. Sometimes the problem is the process. Now I'd love to hear from you. How old are you? And what is your usual blood pressure reading? Share it in the comments below. And have you ever checked your blood pressure immediately after coffee, exercise, or climbing stairs? Let me know. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the Heart Insider 60 Plus. Every week, we uncover hidden blood pressure triggers, common health mistakes, medical myths, and practical health advice for adults over 60. And remember, the goal isn't just getting a number. The goal is getting the right number.